All right. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be taking you through what I consider my weekend warrior toolkit that I keep in the Jeep at all times. So to get started, I'm just going to crack this tub open. I literally just pull it out of the Jeep. I'll kind of walk through what I have in here, why I have it in here, and feel free to comment, like, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and let me know if you have any suggestions. Here we go. All right, so in this, I actually keep a winter raincoat. I live in Utah, so you never know the weather out here. Sometimes it's going to be wet and cold, and you need to be ready for it. And I also keep a down jacket just for emergencies. I'm going to do a separate video on that stuff, so today I'm just focused on what I keep in terms of tools in a toolkit. So, for starters, a good breaker bar. This is a 1/2 inch, good for lug nuts, good for getting difficult bolts. I've got one of these Boulder tools. I'm not associated with them, but it's just a tire plug repair kit. I like it. It's got, you know, pretty much everything you need. I did buy a couple extra tire plugs. I think it's a good idea just to carry, you know, a lot of these in case it's more than just one nail in your tire. But so that I just leave in this. I'm sure you could slim it down a little bit, but it's convenient. The next piece here, so this is just an old ammo can, right? In the ammo can, I call this my fix it, you know, or lift it repair kit. Got a couple of just regular straps. I always keep a small can of WD-40, some thread locker, Loctite blue, and I keep some gun oil in here. It's a good light lubricant that you can use, you know, if you got squeaky hands or whatever. It's just something good for general purposes. I also have some Velcro, some thick Velcro in here that I keep just in case there's a small patch or repair I need to do on something on the interior or maybe on some of my camping gear. Tape. Painter's tape is great to keep within your Jeep. One of the reasons, you can put it on your body, on your Jeep's body, and it's not going to tear up your paint. If you're like me and you live in a cold area and you still go out in the winter, as you know, sometimes you'll get rock chips because they put so much gravel and dirt on the roads. And if you're out camping in the winter and you get a rock chip and you put some blue tape over it, it can help keep moisture out until you can get it to a chip repair spot. So blue tape, it's got a lot of uses and it's non-marring, so it's a good option. Electrical tape, I keep some latex gloves just punched in the middle there, and you know, keep your hands clean if you start working on greasy stuff. Ratchet straps, so I keep 2 sets of ratchet straps in case, you know, ratchet straps have got 1,000 uses. So that's something I keep in this kit. This right here is actually a Permatex plastic tank repair kit. I've cracked my, you know, your windshield wiper fluid or your overflow on the coolant. Just something nice to have, not a need, but nice to have for sure. Super glue, another 1,000 use item. I tend to, when I get these, I get them in singles, and then I just leave the packaging around it. It keeps it from drying out or getting punctured while it's in this can. Baling wire, again, one of those 1,000 use items. A steel stick, again, just something good to have. I always try and think in terms of, I'm not just packing to help repair myself. I may be trying to help out someone in our group or someone else is camping with me. So this is just another good item to have. I also keep, sort of along the same lines, I keep some gasket sealer, just some RTV in here in case somebody, you know, pulls a diff cover off and you need to put it back on. So again, am I going to need it? Maybe not, but it's nice to have. Some good Gorilla tape, some flex tape. This is really useful for a variety of items, not just for the Jeep, but also around camp. I keep some trim, just some assorted trim, tabs and screws, just to keep, if I need to put it in the fender or something like that, I can do that with these. I do carry one spare U-joint with me. If I break more than one U-joint, I'm going to be pulling the drive shaft and not worrying about it. But if I'm just breaking maybe the U-joint on the front, not too bad of a trail repair if you're out for a long weekend. I keep a little bit of 12 gauge electrical wire, just in case I need to splice something or again help somebody else, whether that's a Jeep fix, another person's vehicle fix, or maybe even a trailer fix. And then JB Weld epoxy, always nice to have. All right, so now I'm going to get into more of the hardware, right? Some of the tools that I just keep in this box. So, and I'm doing this by myself today, so I'll try and get a shot of this all laid out once I go through it. But first tool, easiest to access, right here. It's a really sturdy. It's got a sledge on the back and a hatchet on the front. I love this thing. I use it to split wood in camp and knock in some tent stakes. Another great multi-use tool. Zip ties. You never have too many of these. I get some 14-inch cable zip ties, and then I also have some metal zip ties, steel zip ties, and those are great if you're trying to hang something up underneath, maybe underneath your engine or underneath your body. They're just a little stronger. All right. Sorry, I got dogs barking. Okay, tool bag. All right, so now I'm going to run through what I keep in this tool bag. I'll start with what's on the outside pockets and then just go through it. For starters, I keep a 32 millimeter impact socket. I've got my lug nut key, so I have some aftermarket KMC wheels on this, so keep that handy. Everyone knows what this is. A nice little wobbler, keeps it easy. And then I actually keep an extra 8 millimeter. This is what I have for my front drive shafts and aftermarket, and this goes back on the transfer case. So I keep an extra one of those on the outside here. And then I've got an assortment of step downs, so 1/2 inch to 3/8, an extension bar. Let's see, I've got a couple in there. I've got a 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. I keep the Jeep, it's got the little socket with the Torx bits and stuff. I mean, I probably have other stuff that does the same thing, but I just keep it here because it's convenient. I don't carry a full 1/2 inch socket set. I do have I'll get into it, I do have a full range of 3/8 inch drive sockets, but I carry just some of the sockets that I use the most on a 1/2 inch drive. So I've got a 22 millimeter, 18 millimeter, let's see, I've got my 13/16, a 21, I guess I should have done these in order, but we'll just keep going through them. 19 millimeter, and then I carry an extra 10 millimeter. You Jeep guys know those 10 millimeters. Just sprinkle them about your Jeep because you'll find that you use them often. All right, so moving into the inside of this bag. Hey, this is not a fancy bag. Craftsman, I think. I don't even know where this came from. I think I got it from my dad or something. But inside here, no pockets, no organization necessarily. But I've got I've just got a Torx bit set that I keep handy. It's just nice to have. I know you don't need all the Torx bits, but why not? It's again one of those things. You never know if you're going to be helping someone else. A 1/2 inch drive I keep in here. like I said, I don't carry a lot of 1/2-inch sockets, but just those few that I laid out, good to have. I carry some Allen sockets, both metric and SAE, full sets there. Ball peen hammer, 16 ounce. You know, it's good to have a hammer if you need to knock out a U-joint, or knock on anything really, I guess. C-clamp, just really useful for various purposes, but I like to keep one in the toolbox. Rubber mallet, just a cheapie. I mean, this thing's beat up, but works just fine. Vice grips, we all know vice grips, great to have. Good multi-use plier. And I've got both the regular and the needle nose ones. This big boy, 12-inch crescent adjustable wrench. These are just great to have because they give you some extra leverage, and they can be used as a hammer. No, just kidding, but they are hefty. I've got some channel locks. These are great. I've used these to bend my exhaust pipes back a few times, tailpipes. I don't know how many of you have dragged those over rocks before, but I sure have. Also good if you need to pull a cap off a U-joint as you're pulling it out. I keep another adjustable wrench. This is an 8-inch, so this kind of gives me a smaller option if I need to get into a smaller, tighter space. Needle nose pliers. Just again, a channel lock plier right there. And guys, none of this stuff, like, I've mixed and matched this from, you know, like, some of these are my grandpa's tools, some of them are new, some of them I've gotten at the pawn shop. So don't feel like you need to go out and buy all new stuff. Likely you have a lot of the gear you need in your garage right now. So don't be afraid to go out, grab things from different toolboxes and mix stuff up to get what you need to get out on the trail. All right, so flathead screwdriver. I've got two different sizes, kind of a fatter one and a thinner one. You don't, I guess you don't need, you could carry a Leatherman or something like that, but it's nice to have. It's nice to have a little bit more of a convenient screwdriver than on your multi-tool. I do keep one of these. This is just a trim tool, helps you pop out. God, I can't even think of what they're called, but you know, if you need to take your inner fender off or pop off any trim, this is great. Craftsman makes them, but you can get them, you know, you can get them online for cheap off Amazon too. Okay, I think we're coming to the end of this bag, and then last, this is probably the heftiest investment I had for my Jeep kit. This is just a set of wrenches, and these are these go from 24 all the way down to 6 millimeters. So only millimeters. I don't carry SAE mainly because on my Jeep I'm not going to need them, and the millimeter wrenches they do the metric suit me just fine. I do carry 3/8-inch flex head ratchet, mainly because if you've ever pulled, you know, if you've ever had to work on your winch out on the trail and need to pull a bumper off, a flex head makes it a lot easier, along with some extensions, which we'll get to. And then in this, I also just keep a really long extension bar. I think this is a 10-inch. Yeah, it's a 10-inch extension bar. I've got some other extension bars, but we'll get into that. So I'm going to roll this back up, and then I'll move on to the last couple pieces that I keep in my kit. All right, so we're about through this. The last pieces that I have here is a 3/8 drive Tecton socket set. I've had a couple different types of brands before. You know, Husky's actually great, or in my experience. I know it's not the fancy Snap-on or Mac tools, but you know what? For the everyday kind of average dude out there, they're great. They're affordable, and a lot of times you can find them on a discount, you know, or on sale. Tecton, I think, makes great stuff. Again, not affiliated, but this is a great set. It has both SAE and metric. SAE on this runs 1/4 inch all the way through inch, and then the metric on this goes 6 through 24 millimeters. So it's really a complete set. It also has, I keep the cardboard in there because it keeps them from rattling. So you know, that's a great trick. If you get a piece of cardboard, cut it to the shape of your socket set, you drop it in there, and it keeps them from rattling. It drives you crazy. Anyway, so this kit has both the deep and shallow sockets, which is great, and they run the full breadth of that. So again, for metric, you know, you're going all the way from 6 all the way to 24, both shallow and deep sockets. And then for your SAE, it's running from 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, all the way up to inch, both shallow and deep sockets. So as you know, sometimes you gotta have a deep socket to get a bolt off. There's a couple different spots under the Jeep that, at least on mine, if I don't have a deep socket, I'm in trouble. So anyway, that's what I came. This also has a shorter extension bar, 3/8 drive again, but I like carrying the big one just really for lug nuts, because lug nuts can just be pretty tough, and you know, 3/8 drive is just not as strong, and you don't get as much leverage out of these shorter breaker bars. I've got a U-joint in here, a 3-inch extension, a 5-inch extension, and then of course the 3/8 drive ratchet. So that's that. Last thing, or last two things I should say, I keep in the bottom of that tub, I just keep a big blue tarp for several reasons. You can use a tarp in an emergency if you need to make a shelter. If you're out wheeling in the mud or it's wet and you need to get under the Jeep and work on something, having a tarp is game changing, because you can throw it down. It keeps and less about me not wanting to get dirty and more about making sure I don't lose my tools in the mud or in the sand. You know, out here in Utah, I spend a lot of time down the Moab area, out in the desert. As you know, sometimes if you drop a socket in that sand, it's gone. You're not going to find it. So a lot of times, if I'm getting under my Jeep, I like to throw a tarp down so that I don't lose anything. So a big blue tarp, again, cheap, easy to throw in there. I keep that inside, and then I always keep a water bottle, kind of one of these bigger water bottles, in my tool set. And here's the reason why. I, of course, always carry water in addition to this in my Jeep, just for me and for emergency purposes. But sometimes it's good to have just an extra water bottle that you're not going to drink because you're thirsty or hand out, in case, you know, maybe you need to top off you're in an emergency and you got to top off your coolant. Again, like, that's not what you want to do, but if you have to do it, you've got clean water. The other thing that I like about kind of water bottle this size is in an emergency, if you were trying to funnel something, you can cut this in half and use it as a funnel. So I'm always trying to think of ways that I can add something into my toolkit that's going to have multiple uses. And that's really why I have a lot of the stuff here. So again, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope some of this information was helpful. Please know this is not the one right approach to it. It's my approach. It's what's worked for me since I really got into Jeeping and been doing this for a while. And keep in mind, it's for my environment and my context. So I'm out here in Utah. I spend a lot of time weekend warrior trips because I got to work. So weekend warrior trips down to the desert where, you know, I'm not going to need a welding kit. If I'm in that big of trouble, I'm gonna have somebody's with me, and we're gonna be towing the rig out. So again, the objective of this is to have enough variety of tools, enough extra pieces of gear to help with sort of the minor to medium trail repair that you might encounter on a rough trail. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, one last thing, just so you can see this, all of this fits in this tub. It's a Sterilite. Geez, I don't even know what I think it's like a 20-gallon, if I remember correctly, but don't quote me. And it fits just perfectly in the back of the Jeep on one side of the cargo space. My dogs, I strap it in with two big beefy straps so it doesn't go anywhere when I'm driving around. And then I've got plenty of space for the dog or for extra camping gear. Anyway, Walmart has some of these too. I don't think it's the Sterilite brand. They've got their own brand, but you'll see them. They've got the yellow tops. Anyway, thanks again, guys. I'm going to pack all this back up and get ready for the weekend. Take care.